The ocean looked endless that evening, dark blue folding into black as the sun drowned itself behind the horizon, and I remember thinking how strange it was that my life felt just as wide and just as terrifying in that moment. One minute I was simply Grace Turner, a quiet project coordinator trying to survive another company retreat, and the next minute everything I believed about power, loneliness, and second chances began to shift in ways I never expected. The wind carried salt and old memories, and my heart beat too loudly for a calm beach in California that pretended nothing life-changing was about to happen. If you believe that kindness can change lives and that second chances sometimes arrive in the most unexpected ways, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. I had joined the firm 2 years earlier, fresh from a painful breakup and drowning in student loans, grateful for steady work and nothing more. Michael Reed, my boss, was known throughout the company as brilliant and distant, the kind of leader who inspired loyalty without ever asking for it. He was professional to the point of emotional invisibility, and that distance made him feel safe to work for. I never imagined he noticed me beyond my performance reviews and neatly organized spreadsheets. The retreat was meant to rebuild morale after layoffs, and I already felt the weight of survivor's guilt pressing on my chest as we arrived at the coastal resort. That afternoon had been full of polite smiles and forced laughter, but the evening brought something heavier. Michael looked different without the office walls around him, quieter, almost tired, as if leadership had cost him more than any of us knew. I sat on the beach alone after dinner, toes buried in cold sand, rehearsing how I would resign if the company decided to cut more positions. That was when he sat closer than necessary, close enough for me to feel the warmth of another human being in a season where I felt painfully alone. What happened next was not dramatic on the surface, but it shook something deep inside me. There was no grand confession, no romantic gesture meant for a movie screen. There was only the realization that he was asking for help, not power. A major investor was present at the resort, someone who believed success only existed if it came with a perfect personal life. Michael's recent divorce had become gossip, and tonight he needed to appear steady, supported, human. I was the safest person he knew, someone with nothing to gain by hurting him and nothing to lose by standing beside him. The request unsettled me because my life had been defined by staying invisible, by never being chosen or seen. Yet something about the vulnerability in his posture, the way his shoulders sagged under responsibility, made me agree. It was not romance that moved me, but compassion. We walked together along the shoreline later, not touching, not pretending more than what was asked. Still, people watched. Assumptions formed. For the first time in years, I felt visible without feeling exposed. Over the next hours, the air between us changed. Not in a reckless way, but in a quiet, reverent one. We spoke about work, about expectations, about how leadership can be lonelier than failure. I learned he had grown up in Ohio, raised by a church-going mother who believed in grace more than success. He learned that I had stayed late nights at the office not because I was ambitious, but because empty apartments were louder than busy hallways. The beach became a confessional without walls, and the sound of waves stitched our broken stories together. By the end of the night, the investor's interest had shifted. Michael's calm confidence returned, and my role was complete. I expected that to be the end, a strange footnote in my career. Instead, the days that followed changed everything. At work, Michael treated me no differently, but something unspoken remained. He listened more. He asked for my ideas. He defended my team when upper management pushed too hard. The kindness he received that night seemed to echo outward. Weeks later, he called me into his office, and I braced myself for consequences that never came. What did come was honesty. He acknowledged the imbalance of power, the line we had walked without crossing. He thanked me, not as a boss, but as a human being. That gratitude healed something in me I did not know was broken. I realized I had spent years believing my value came only from staying quiet and useful. Life did not turn into a fairy tale. We did not rush into romance, and there were no secret glances across conference rooms. Instead, there was respect, growth, and space. I applied for a leadership role I never would have dared to consider before, and I got it. Michael announced his decision to step back from executive duties months later, choosing teaching over corporate warfare. On his last day, the office felt emptier and fuller at the same time. Before this story ends, please take a moment to comment below and share where you are watching from and what part of the story resonated with you the most. Your words matter more than you know. As I look back now, standing on that same beach a year later, I understand that the night was never about pretending to belong to someone else. It was about learning that I already belonged to myself. Sometimes the most powerful moments are not loud or romantic, but quietly human. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that kindness can ripple farther than we imagine, please like, share, and engage with this video. Your support helps keep these stories alive, and maybe, just maybe, it will remind someone else that their quiet courage is enough.